Welcome to today's episode of the Dominion Street podcast, an occasional series of musings, learnings and challenging thinking from the world of leadership coaching. I'm David Wilson, and today's reflection is about numbers, judgment and leadership, and something subtle that often shapes how decisions get made. There's a well-established idea in behavioural science that when people are presented with choices, they tend to favour what looks better numerically. Scores, rankings, percentages, these immediately draw attention. Meanwhile, qualities expressed in words, context, narrative, experience, tend to carry less weight. What's quantified stands out. What is not can quietly fade away. You can see this clearly in organisations. Leaders are surrounded by dashboards, KPIs and performance metrics, and these tools are useful, often essential, because they bring clarity and a sense of objectivity, but they also create a tension, because some of the most important aspects of leadership are difficult to measure. Judgment, trust, culture, ethical awareness, even long-term potential, they don't easily fit into numbers, and because of that they can slip out of the conversation, not deliberately but gradually. Attention tends to follow what is visible. In coaching conversations, this shows up often. Leaders come in with data, be it performance scores, rankings, engagement results, and they use these as a basis for decisions. But when you slow things down a bit, there's often a sense that something's missing. Someone may look strong on paper, yet raise concerns in how they operate. Another may have average results, but show clear signs of growth, or of curiosity or resilience. And these signals matter. They are, though, harder to quantify. And that's where a different kind of question becomes useful. Not to dismiss the data, but to look beyond it. Questions like, what might be missing here? What are we not seeing because it isn't on the slide? And perhaps most revealing, if the numbers weren't available, what would you choose and why? That question brings judgment back into the frame. It asks leaders to draw on experience, intuition, and pattern recognition. These are the sort of things that don't always translate into metrics, but they often shape better decisions. This becomes especially important in people decisions. Ratings and rankings can feel objective. They create consistency and make comparisons easier, but they can also create false certainty, because when a person is reduced to a score, something is lost. Their character, their trajectory, their ability to adapt and grow, and often it's these qualities that determine future impact. So this isn't an argument against measurement, it's an argument for balance. Numbers are powerful servants, but poor masters. Used well, they inform decisions. Used uncritically, they can narrow attention, creating the illusion that what cannot be measured matters less. And leadership, the opposite is true. The most important decisions frequently depend on what cannot be easily quantified. So if trust, will this person do the right thing when it matters? Looking at judgment, can they navigate ambiguity? Focusing on culture, how they influence others? And looking at their potential, what might they become? These questions take time. They require reflection and conversation, which can feel at odds with the pressure to move quickly. Numbers are efficient and they make decisions easier to justify, but faster is not always better. Sometimes better decisions come from slowing down, just enough to notice what might otherwise be missed. So perhaps the takeaway is simple. The next time you're looking at a set of numbers, pause and ask, what am I not paying attention to because it's harder to quantify? Because there's almost always something just outside the frame. And leadership, in part, is about learning to see it. Thank you for listening. I look forward to joining you next time.